Are you living your passion? What is your passion? Welcome to the Luxe Life Discovered podcast, where we talk with people who are living a lifestyle that reflects their passion, because we believe everyone should enjoy living their best life, their Luxe Life.
Hello, I'm Rick Steiner, back again with another episode of Luxe Life Discovered. I have my co-host Shannon Richmond with me.
Hi, Rick. You can't get rid of me, can you?
No, you're still here. That's great. Great. Our guest today is Derek Swegle, who has Habitat Flooring. And the reason I wanted you on is because when I joined the chamber, you were one of the first people that reached out to me. And we met for coffee and hit it off. And it's
That may be Shannon's fault, actually.
Indirectly, everything is Shannon's fault. Yeah.
She's the one that encouraged me. She says, hey, make sure you reach out to everybody and send the emails. And I've been kind of slacking, but I did that, and it formed a good relationship. So.
Definitely. That's one thing about the chamber. We've talked about that on a couple of other podcasts this morning, is the members doing business with members is huge, because this is one chamber that cares about their members, and they make sure that the members interact with each other and have that connection. And so y'all do a good job with that.
Thank you. We love doing it.
Yeah, and that shows. So tell me a little about yourself. You're from Missouri originally.
Born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. Actually grew up in the Kansas side, and then as an adult lived over in the Missouri side. They're right next to each other.
Right.
And my wife and I had been vacationing down here for years, and we're like, why do we not live at the beach? But we miss the Midwest a lot. You know, we miss home and family every once in a while, but it's not that hard to miss when you go out to the beach sometimes on a day like this, especially too. So,
and one thing that he posted on his, I posted on my Instagram one time about the Embassy Suites in Jonesboro, Arkansas, because that's one of our sponsors for the show there. And Derek made a comment. He said, that's our stopping point on the way home when we go to Kansas City.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's a small world. So a lot of different connections that, there's Mama again. A lot of connections that, you don't realize you have. It's a small world. Yeah,
it is. It just paying attention to that. And that's also, like, the chamber has been fantastic with getting to know and working with other businesses and getting to know people in the community. But just through social media, like, I've gotten to know so many people who I haven't really met, but then I see them, I'm like, hey, I know you, and we're local and everything, and that's just really kind of blossomed with the business and stuff. So it's been really fantastic.
So now, if I look at your post and from how much we've talked and everything, I don't think you have a lot of time for the beach.
No.
So tell us a little about your flooring.
We do hardwood floors. So I started doing this probably close to 18 years ago. Back in Kansas City with my older brother. He had been doing it since I think he was about 19. So the late 90s, he started doing that. And as a young adult, I kind of grew into. He actually started. I think every floor guy's story on how they got into the trade is some family member or friend dragging them along to a job with them. Come on, what are you doing today? Nothing. You're going to work with us.
Sounds like your dad with the deckhand.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And he used to drag me along to side jobs on the weekend as a teenager. I don't think I ever got paid for those either. So.
Right.
Older brother, like, hey, I got free labor right here. Yeah. You get to hang out with me for the day.
Shannon's dad had a fishing company.
Right? He had dive boats.
Yeah.
And you never said you had nothing to do because that
Yes.
you were the deckhand.
So she can relate to that.
Yeah,
But I don't think you
absolutely.
probably got paid either, did you?
I don't think so.
Yeah. But the amount of work here, I think I've been amazed by that.
Yeah. You know what? It was weird because when we finally made the decision, we didn't tell anybody we were going to move either. We talked about it for years, and then we were just like, one day we're like, let's do it. We're just doing it. And so we kind of got all our ducks in a row with everything and looked for a place and kind of secured some work, but I had no idea that, like, hardwoods were going to be, like, real hardwoods are going to be so prevalent down here. Like, there was going to be that much. I thought it was going to be a lot of laminate, LVP, other types of flooring tile. I'm like, well, you know what? I can do all this stuff. Like, we were just kind of coming down to just come down. We were like, let's get a decent plan. I wrote a semi-business plan, not the greatest. It was my first one. And I was thoroughly surprised when I got down here and everybody's like, oh, you do real hardwood floors? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been doing for, 15 plus years. And they're like, oh, wow. And it just hit. It hit really, really good. And it's funny. I've talked to a couple other people before and kind of told my story on how I got into the trade. And for years, it was just a job for me. It was just going to work. It was means to an end. I had a paycheck. I worked with my brother. And I think he got like a little upset because he's like, man, you're really good at this. You're really good. And I'm like, yeah. It is what it is. Rocks on paper, paper on wood, make it look good, So, and then when I started the business down here, my wife and I, we own the company together and she works with me. I got really passionate about it. And then getting to know other business owners, getting to know more people, getting involved with the National Wood Flooring Association and doing classes and training and expos with them and everything like that. I really formed a passion for it, and I'm addicted.
So were you surprised at the number or the amount of hardwood floor here? Because that's been surprising to me, because it seemed like, okay, 2 weeks worth of work and you've done it all here. Yeah. But here you are years later and going strong.
Yeah, I think since there's so many people, like this area is people from, other states and other regions buying homes down here, either vacation rentals or it's their vacation home. They have real hardwood floors at home, and they want that here on the beach too. They're like, I don't want tile. I want this. I want real hardwood floors. It's a real, and I think a lot of people, recognize the benefits of it.
This episode of Luxe Life Discovered is brought to you in part by Steiner Event Group. Steiner Event Group is a national event planner that produces results for their clients. They offer event and wedding planning on any scale, hosting bridal shows, scouting talented models, and producing riveting concept photo shoots to help their clients expand their brands, products, and services. Whether you're a business professional aiming to take your brand to the next level, planning a corporate or private event, a bride seeking to have the wedding of your dreams, or a model ready to be discovered, Steiner Event Group is ready for you.
And
what are benefits of hardwood floors?
Well, first of all, the sustainability. There's a huge sustainability. I've sanded and refinished hardwood floors that are 200 plus years old. So
that's unreal.
If properly maintained and cared for, they'll outlast your home. And then, not to think about the health benefits, carpet and other stuff, they trap allergens and stuff like that. And a lot of people love the fact that, it's allergen free. It's a very, very renewable source, and years ago, everybody said, well, there's the deforestation and we're running out of trees. That's absolutely not the problem at all. It's opposite. Yeah. Like there's a huge need for responsible forestry. And there's so much benefits to doing this, because you can invest in tile or laminate or vinyl plank, and these all have purposes and they have uses within a home, but a lot of it is a temporary flooring. It's going to last you a few years, and then you have to toss it out and get a new one. And the other thing I kind of talk to some customers about this. There's states in the United States that ban the use of straws. Like, it's illegal for certain restaurants to use straws because of the plastic and everything like that. The United States alone is producing hundreds of thousands of square miles of plastic flooring.
And they're worried about
every
straws,
year, and they're worried about straws. So whenever it's served its purpose, it's torn out and replaced with whatever flooring, it goes to the dump. What happens? It sits there for years and years and years and years, and it stays in that shape. But wood flooring can be refinished time and time again. And there's cases sometimes where you have a hurricane or a flood. It's got to get torn out. But when it gets torn out and it goes to the dump, guess what happens? In a few years, it returns to the earth. So that's kind of the way I look at it, and I love that. I love that. You know, I love the history. You know, we do a lot of reclaimed stuff, a lot of reclaimed wood, even in engineered products too. They'll river reclaimed. There's a Goodwin Hart Pine Company in near Ocala, Florida, I think, and they have dozens of ponds with 1,000-plus-year-old trees that have been soaking.
Oh, really?
And there's a huge backstory. I get really nerded out and geeked out about it and stuff because
We like that, so go ahead.
yeah. It's really, really interesting, the history behind all that and how, you know, the water actually preserves this wood, and it's just sitting in there, and it's just, you know, 1,000+ years old, and it's just ready for a home, you know, and
Wow. That makes sense. I never thought about that, to have like retaining ponds
Yeah.
just to hold their trees. Yeah.
yeah. There's a video of the old owner going out there and shooing off a couple gators so he can get a log.
Oh my God. You know
Wow.
what I liked what you said about the wood is, you know, we like to change, women like to change.
Yeah.
And so if we had this kind of floor or that kind of floor, but what you're saying is we can use that same floor, just resand it down and make it something else.
Yeah.
But that floor will be there forever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Put
Yeah.
new accent pieces to it.
I just love that.
Yeah, you can change the color, whatever. I've done purple floors before. I've done
Wow.
whatever
Like
you
with stain.
Yeah, there's
Really?
stains, reactive stains. There's all kinds of. It's not just a trade anymore, which I don't think it really necessarily was a trade. I think it was just perceived as a trade. That's what you learn how to do. It's a trade. It's really a craft. You know, it's not like, hey, you know, I'm going to invest in this equipment. I'm going to start a hardwood flooring company. I'm going to refinish floors. Well, good luck running that equipment if you've never operated it before, you know, and learning. There's a lot of science to everything. And I think that's probably how I get a little bit passionate about it and get really intrigued is the science. I can talk like I am to you two, to my wife about this, who actually does hardwood floors with me. And she just... Okay, dear.
We're still talking about it. Yeah.
She's like, I listen to you talking about hardwood floors all the time.
So there's like a finesse to it. You're not just going to go throw them down and you got your job done.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things, and it's weird. I'm pushing 18 years doing this. I'm still learning. I'll never stop learning about this. And, you know, you can talk to anybody who's been doing it for 50 years, and they'll say the same thing.
Wow.
Instructors and stuff. And so I stay pretty busy, too, with continued education. Like I just got back last month from St. Louis doing an advanced install class. And, you know, I actually honestly spend a lot of time, too, on social media just to learn. And I build these relationships with other contractors all over the world. And there's several Facebook groups and stuff of guys in the industry.
That's
And
pretty neat,
it's nice because we could throw something out there like, hey, have you seen this or have you had this issue? And 30 guys or gals will pop up, yep, I had this issue, do this, try this, whatever. And it's just fascinating. Like like I said, I get really geeked out on it.
That's awesome. So
yeah.
hardwood's your favorite, but you do install other types of flooring?
Mostly just hardwood, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of did that. We did some other flooring when we moved down here just to, you know, broaden our ability to make income.
Yeah.
But when we got really, really busy and we've kind of gotten our niche, I'd say probably like 90% of our work is just straight hardwood,
Isn't that-
solid.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
I was
Yeah.
always amazed at the amount of hardwood here. 'Cause
Yeah.
you don't think about that at the beach.
Yeah.
But now you do a lot of high-end
Yeah.
projects as well.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in that aspect that we get to do a lot of high-end stuff. We get to work in really beautiful homes right on the beach, and a lot of my clients they're wonderful because they're kind of give you free reins. They're like, hey, I'm looking at this, but I trust you. And I'm like, oh, man, I really want to try this.
So how, being on the beach, how is sand and hardwood floors?
You know, that's the thing. I mean, no matter what, whether sand, dirt, anything like that, your floors they need to stay clean. So
Right.
you need to sweep them. You need to do stuff like that. But
do.
we've been doing several different finishes that are really kind of like everything we use is a high-end commercial line, commercial grade finish. But there's some really cool new products out there that are very easy to maintain. Like if I had a customer that says, hey, this is a beach rental, we stay here twice a year, we rent it out almost every other year, we're right on the water, I want black floors. I'm going to say that is a grave mistake. Because you think about too, colors and sheen and everything, floors are going to get scratched up no matter what. No matter where you're at, it happens. But if you can change the tone, the color, the sheen, things like that, there's processes that I talk to my clients with and explain to them, say, hey, we need to set up a maintenance plan, we need to do these things, and I try not to like scare them with all this extra work, but there's ways to do things, and then saying it, you kick your shoes off when you go in there, go bare feet, you sweep up. Roombas are awesome. I should start just selling those as another business. I bought one for my wife, I think like 6 or 7 years ago, and it's like the best thing ever.
With By the Sea Resorts, you have so many options, you never have to settle. By the Sea Resorts offers 5 restaurants and 11 hotels where you can enjoy the sights and the sounds of the Gulf, spread out in spacious guest rooms, or book your next event or meeting in one of our many customizable spaces. For dining, we're serving up sunshine and good times at all 3 of our Barefoot restaurant locations, or experience waterfront dining at the Shrimp Boat Restaurant, and enjoy live entertainment every weekend at House of Bourbon. By the Sea Resorts, we're saving you a front row seat.
My wife calls her Roomba Rick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so she'll get a message that Rick is stuck. And so I mean, like Rick has gotten under the bed and can't get out. So
of course he has.
Right. So
that's hilarious. We actually have a very similar story. We have a 7-pound Yorkie named Ozzy, who is like, she is terrified of any kind of change. If my wife moves the furniture around in the living room, she is just so dramatic, like, my world is turned upside down. She hates the Roomba.
Oh,
so
gosh.
we named the Roomba Sharon.
Oh my God. That is so fun. Sharon!
Chasing her around and stuff.
That's hilarious. So on hardwood floors, when a customer comes to you and they want the floors, from what I'm hearing from you, is you educate them.
Yeah.
So you don't just let us go in there and go, we want this and it needs to look beautiful all the time. And
you can't, and I have that a lot. I have to explain to people, the processes and the pros and cons. And I spend a lot of time explaining pros and cons to people. And sometimes an application just doesn't fit. But it's really cool. Like going back to the science of it is, people think there's not a whole lot of wood here because the humidity, the sand, you're near the water. But I mean, you go down to downtown Panama City, that was a milling town back in the 1930s and 40s. And all those old homes have hardwoods that have been here for 100+ years. I just a few weeks ago worked in a building that's going to be a co-op space, the Hive. And I refinished the back room, had to do some repairs, and I was stunned to find out that the entire building, which was built in 1928, had all quarter sawn, 100% quarter sawn wood. So like I'm sure you've seen it, but when you see an old piece of oak or a new piece of oak and it has a very, very distinct zebra-like grain to it, and it's just because it's the way the log is milled. Well, in high humidity climates, rift and quartered or quarter sawn, the way it's milled is the most dimensionally stable of a product, meaning it can fluctuate. It does not move as much because it's a more dense cut. Mm-hmm. It's also the most expensive cut because you waste so much other than the log. Mm. Well, this is a building right on the water that they built 100 years ago. Tell me they didn't think of that when they built that building, So
and it's amazing what they knew back then. Even.
They knew it back then. It was just simple science that they had figured out. And these guys have been doing it for hundreds of years and passing that knowledge on.
So were those floors, had they been covered?
They were covered several times, There was a lot of rot on this one. I think it got hit pretty hard with the hurricane and whatnot in certain areas and stuff. But yeah, they'd all been covered up with glued down carpet and for years. And I got to talk to the owner of the building for a little bit and kind of get the history and stuff, because that's kind of cool though. Yeah, I'm super into that, and it's really neat to learn about that. So that kind of ties back into the educating the customer. If I have a customer who says, I'm wanting 6-inch wide planks and I'm right on the water and I got this, I'm like, well, let's think about this. We can give you wood floors, but let's think about what's going to be the best product for you, the end user.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it's in where I grew up in Arkansas, it's like a generational thing with hardwood floors, because like when Debbie and one of our houses, we uncovered pulled it back some carpet, had hardwood floors. So we were so excited about it. And both of our mothers were like, oh, you don't want hardwood floors. It's going to be too hard to maintain. Yeah. That type thing. And we love them now. And with the allergens, that's with my wife's asthma. I mean, they're perfect. But I'll never forget, in our hall, where you go down the hall and then take a left into our bedroom, there's a scratch on the floor. And my wife, to this day, can't get over that scratch. I mean, it's just like, let it go. It didn't like destroy the floor, but
sounds like you need to invite Derek over for
I
dinner.
do, yeah. So
we'll take care of it.
I need you to come up and take care of that scratch, please, because she still says I did it. I didn't do it. I get blamed for a lot of things, but that's not mine. So what's the biggest challenge when you're going to like a renovation project? That's I noticed on some of your pictures, you see work that may not have been up to par from other people.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that?
There's quite a bit. Unfortunately, there is quite a bit of that poor craftsmanship. I think it's just a lot of education. People haven't been properly educated. Yeah. There was a need for so long, and these regular contractors are like, well, I don't normally do that, but I guess I'll try,
And do some patchwork. Yeah.
Oh man, this one that we're working on this week I hadn't posted any pictures yet of it because I don't know where to start.
Oh no.
Either this person was, on some heavy drugs, or was a very old man with the worst case of Parkinson's I've ever seen in my life. It's pretty poor, but I mean, honestly, we come up with a game plan, right away. That's a huge part, like a huge amount of the calls that I get is like, hey, he said he knew what he was doing. He obviously doesn't, can you help me? And, so we come in there, I basically right off the bat lay down worst case scenario, best case scenario, every option, and kind of let them choose which way they want to go.
Because they've already invested that one time, so now they're having to redo it.
Yeah.
That's probably heartbreaking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like that scratch.
Right.
Yeah. No, we had one over on the beach in Grayton Beach that a customer, these were reclaimed antique heart pine floors from the original Savannah, Georgia ice house.
Oh, wow.
She spent more on her hardwood floors than I spent on the first 2 homes I ever bought.
Wow.
She spent a lot of money, and the builder did not get the right contractor, and it was bad. And and we were really, really busy at the time. I think it was back in November of last year, and I says, I'm booked until like July, and she's like, we'll have to wait till then.
So she did wait on
it. Oh, yeah.
That's good, yeah.
She waited, and it was a month-long project, but we were able to
So what have they done, like just a refinishing part?
The people that sanded it before had no idea how to operate the machines, and they almost ruined.
Really? Like cutting in too deep, that type thing?
Yeah, and cutting across the grain, and just a lot of errors that... an educated, experienced craftsman would never do by any means.
I think you're hitting the right word right there, craftsman, because it's not just a carpenter, or it's a craft. It is a craft. Yeah.
I mean, I know trim carpenters and carpenters that have master carpenters have been doing incredible work for 50 years, and you ask them to sand the floor, they're going, no, I hire you to do that.
Right, because they have their skill. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. That, they're like, I'm not going to try to do that. I'm like, you could do anything. They're like, no, I'm not going to mess with that. Like, this is, that's why I work hard to do my craft to pay for you to do yours.
That's true, yeah.
So that's why you're an expert in your field, because you keep doing the continuing education and you keep watching to see how to do it even better. So that's why when they call you, they're not just getting somebody to slap on some floors. Yeah. They're getting an expert to be able to explain the things that they need.
Like Derek gets all the latest, I'll say this wrong, but like sanding techniques and equipment and pads and machines and a lot of things I don't even know what I'm talking about. But
no,
he really stays on top of all of that.
This episode of Luxe Life Discovered is brought to you in part by Orville's Men's Store. Thank you, Orville's Men's Store, for supplying the men's clothing for today's podcast. For the absolute best in casual and dress wear for men, visit orvillesms.com. That's ORVILLESMS.com.
And I try to do too. I've been trying to do a lot more educational posts, because a big goal since we've moved down here and I've kind of ran into a lot of those problem jobs is just educating the end user and educating people on, how to even hire. If you're not going to hire me, that's fine. I literally cannot do all the work that needs to be done out here. It needs.
So
I can't do it.
That still amazes me how much hardwood.
Yeah, there's no way. So, educating people, and I've discussed with the NWFA, the National Wood Flooring Association, kind of the concerns and what's going on in this area, because it's kind of it's a different area. It's kind of, it's a small, the area. It's kind of a small town feel, but it's a popular beach because it's beautiful. Yeah. But as a small town feel, so it kind of gets overlooked in a lot of other areas. And I've discussed with him, I said, I'd really like to, host some education things and stuff like that. So kind of got back to like I'd say the biggest obstacle we have is getting supplies. And not just right now because of the shortage, but because there's no distributors that sell hardwood flooring supplies in a 250-mile radius of here.
I didn't think about that.
I didn't think about that either.
So what's your biggest, Atlanta?
Atlanta, Mobile, and then Huntsville, Alabama, and then now there's going to be one in Tallahassee coming here the next few months.
Oh, that'll be a nice change.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I basically have just had to stock up on a lot of stuff. I have to really, really think about, what I need, when I need it, and
that's kind of hard to gauge as well. Sure.
Yeah, it's really difficult to gauge. So.
Because your wife wants to go on a trip, and you're like, honey, I've got some hardwood up there, we can't go. So.
And your wife does the business with you?
Yeah. She works with me 4 days a week. And she helps out a lot of other stuff. She started basically right when we moved down here. She'd never done anything. I think back in Kansas City a couple times she worked with me on a couple jobs, and she ended up taking a nap on the couch, halfway through the day because she's like, this is hard work.
Right, I bet, yeah.
But she's a really hard worker, yeah. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like it more than I thought I would. There's definitely some challenge, but I mean, before that, I worked with my brother, so everybody's like, "How is you working with your brother?" And I'm like, honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Every once in a while, we'd butt heads on something, but it was usually pretty good because he valued my opinion, I valued his opinion, and now with my wife, we discuss things a lot. She still doesn't understand certain things, why we got to do this way. But she brings a lot of having that female touch.
That's right.
It's so important. Like, I didn't realize how like a simple task that I would be doing for so many years. I've done this, 18 years, and I show her how to do it, and she's like, okay, I got it. And then she starts doing it a different way, and I'm like, whoa, and then she's like, no, and she does it, and I'm like, yeah, that's way easier than I've been doing it.
Sounds like we just need that extra perspective. Yeah.
The perspective, yeah, female perspective. They just like look at things, and I'm like, that's why they're smarter than us.
Still doesn't mean that we have to like it, or accept it. No, I'm just kidding. No. Well, we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come and be on our podcast, because like I said, this has been something that I've been looking forward to visit with you again, and thank you for reaching out to me when I joined the chamber, for sure.
Absolutely. It's been wonderful to meet you, and Shannon, you've been awesome through this whole thing. It was literally the best business decision I had made when I moved here, was to join the chamber.
Can you cut that clip so I can use it over and over and over? Thank you.
This is when Shannon's head gets so big, I have to kind of lean to the side. But thank you again. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And thank you for joining us again for another episode of Luxe Life Discovered, and we will see you on our next episode.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support our show, leave us a review. That's the #1 way to help this show reach others just like you. Join us next time for another Luxe Life Discovered.